and welcome back to Dpad Experience presents Marvel Champions. Today we're going to be taking a look at Nova. Nova, one of the lesser known heroes in my opinion. I grew up reading comics and yeah, he was always like a C tier for me in the New Warriors. So I wasn't really looking forward to this pack that much, mainly because I wasn't really a big fan of Nova. However, after having played this a few times, he's really fun. So we're going to take a look at what is inside the Nova box if you decide to pick up Nova. So we have, obviously, the hero card, which is Nova, and here is his alter ego, Sam Alexander. He has a recovery of 3. His action is spend 1 resource of any type and search your deck and discard pile for Supernova Helmet. Add it to your hand, put it into play instead if you paid for this using a wild resource. Very similar to Captain America's shield, right? And you'll notice that it uses a wild resource, which you might be thinking would be hard to get, but Nova's deck comes with a lot of wild resources. So it's actually not that hard to get a wild resource in your hand right away, or to mulligan for one, to put the Nova helmet right into play, and you'll see what that does in a minute. So here's what Nova actually looks like. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. I think it's a pretty weak line, but his attack and events make it work. So his response is, after you use one of Nova's basic powers, you ready your Supernova helmet. Alright, so what is the Supernova helmet? Let's take a look. Well, first, we have Miss Marvel. 1 copy of Miss Marvel in his stack of 15. Miss Marvel is a 3-cost ally for 1 thwart, 1 attack. And her hero response is, after you play an event, you exhaust her and deal 1 damage and return that event to your hand. Nova has a lot of events that either attack or thwart, so having her out and being able to bring those back into your hand 3 times because she has 3 health is really powerful. So the couple times that I've got her out, she's actually worked out really well. So here's that Supernova helmet. It costs 1, right? It gives Nova aerial, and if you exhaust the Supernova helmet, you generate 1 wild resource. So remember, on Nova, on his alter ego, when you start the game, if you can spend 1 resource of any type and search your deck and discard pile for the helmet, or just use a wild resource and put it automatically into play, which is great. His hero ability is, after you use one of his basic powers, you ready the helmet. So the helmet generates 1 resource. So what you want to do is you want to play the helmet, play a card from your hand, then use Nova's basic ability to ready this and play this again. This is essentially a 2 free resource card off the back, which is really powerful. Then we have 3 copies of Pot Shot. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. So while having Supernova helmet out, you just need to use it once to play this, because this is a 2-cost event, and if you use a wild resource, it's just 1. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. So you would use this, and if you have Miss Marvel out, you exhaust her and get this back into your hand, essentially for an 8-point damage swing. Awesome. Then we have 3 copies of Lightspeed Flight, which is basically the same thing, but the thwarting version. Double the amount of wild resources generated while paying for this card, so you only need to use the Supernova helmet once, and remove 3 threat from a scheme. Again, if you are getting into some thwart issues, and if you have Miss Marvel, bring this back, remove 6 threat. Awesome. So that was attack. That was thwarting. You know he's going to have some defense, right? So here's a 1-cost event. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 3 of that damage. If you paid for this using a wild resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. So If you don't want to straight up defend with Nova, you can use this, prevent 3 damage, and deal 3 damage to an enemy. So don't forget, the Nova helmet readies after you use one of Nova's basic abilities. So even if you use the Supernova helmet on defense, when you come back around to your turn and use one of Nova's basic powers, you'll ready his helmet again. So this is really, really good on defense. So now we have, I'm drawing 2 different types right now for a specific reason because they synergize really well. Connection to the World Mind. Connection to the World Mind is a resource card, and it does not count towards your hand size. So basically, anytime you pull this in your hand, you'll draw another card, essentially increasing your hand size by 1, and it's a wild resource. This goes extremely well with Jesse Alexander, which is a support. Alter Ego action, so you do need to be on his Alter Ego side. You exhaust Jesse Alexander and shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mind from your discard pile into your deck and draw a card. So you can keep trying to bring these back into your hand as long as you have Jesse Alexander out. When I got Jesse Alexander out early, it worked really well. Last but not least, we have me messing up my cards. We have Unleash the Nova Force, a 1-cost event, max 1 per round. Until the end of the round, each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova and draw a card. So really good if you're fighting a minion heavy deck, right? Because each time you'll defeat an enemy, you can ready Nova and draw a card. Or if you're playing my favorite deck, which is Justice, anytime you remove all the threat, ready Nova and draw a card. Really cool 1-cost event. So those are his cards of 15. Now let's take a look at the pre-built aggression deck that he comes with. So we have a new aggression ally in the Locust. Cost 2, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 consequential damage on that 1 thwart, 2 health. Play only if your identity has a champion trait, which obviously Nova does, or else why would they give a Locust to us? So, hero response. After Locust enters play, add 1 aggression event from your discard pile to your hand. I thought that was kind of weak. However, if you've seen my playthrough with Sandman, this card actually won me the game. I pulled this late. I was able to draw a specific card from my discard pile and essentially win the game. So, being able, if you're playing an aggression deck, this might need to go into every aggression deck. I didn't realize how powerful that was until I needed it, and it was at the end of the game. Here's an old friend, Chase Them Down. I've seen this since the beginning of I started playing this game. 0-cost event. After your hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Again, only kind of useful if the minions are out or if you are going to defeat phase 1 of the enemy. Then we have 3 copies of 1x1. 1-cost event. It is an attack card, hero action. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So you got to defeat an enemy to pull that other attack, right? So again, really useful if there's a lot of minions out. If not, it's just a 2 attack for a 1. Not the worst, it's some good chip damage. This has been my favorite card so far in this aggression deck. And this is the one that won me the game with the Locust card. Pitchback. You got 3 of these. 1-cost event. Play only if your identity has the aerial trait, which our Supernova helmet gives us. Hero response is an attack. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. 4 damage for 1 cost. Super, super strong, right? Then if you even want to use that one before that I said, the 1x1, I think it was called, right? 1x1. Yeah, this is an attack. That counts, right? So if you, as long as you do an attack, this will do 4 damage right after that. Super strong for such a low cost card. We have 3 copies of No Quarter, which is Not my favorite card. Probably one of my least favorite cards in this pre-built deck. It's a 2-cost event, right? You must use a one physical resource to pay for it. Hero action is attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. For each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack, discard the top card of your deck and add each aggression card discarded that way to your hand. Not my favorite card for a couple reasons. Number one, you need the physical resource to use it. Number two, it only works for, aside from the 2 damage, it's only its benefit is from the excess damage. So again, if there's not a minion, it's a 4 damage for a 2-cost event with a needed physical resource. But I don't like the other part where you discard cards and pull an aggression card. It's my personal play style because if you get it early and you might discard some really strong specific hero cards, and I don't love it. I can see why people like it. Maybe I'll find a good use for it, but I haven't yet. Then we have 3 copies of Fluid Motion, which is a pretty good card. 1-cost upgrade. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card and your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. Max 1 per attack event. So there's 3 of these. You can put 3 of these down if you wanted, right? And when you play an attack event, if you have 3 of these down, your hero's going to get +3 attack. Really like this. This has worked out for me pretty well. I've only been able to get 1 out in play so far, but if you're running an aggression deck, I can see how this would be awesome. So I do like that card. Another one of my least favorite cards in this pre-built aggression deck is this upgrade, Hone Technique. It's a 3-cost upgrade, which already I don't like, right? It's really expensive. You have to use 2 of the mental resources to play this, okay? Max 1 per player. When you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using a mental resource, you increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. So, I do want to try this with Dive Bomb, because that would essentially make Dive Bomb cost, I think, like 4 and 11 attack. So, right now, the only use I particularly see for this is with Dive Bomb. Again, I've yet to get this to work well. It's on my list of possibly good, maybe only in a specific scenario. And we get 2 Power of Aggressions, which we've seen a million times before. Lastly, in our pre-built aggression deck, we have some basic cards. First one is Moon Girl. She costs 3. She is a 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 consequential damage on each of those. She has 3 health, and you can only play her if you have the champion or genius trait. So after you play Moon Girl, you draw 1 card for each mental resource you use to pay for her. So don't forget, Nova has a lot of wild resources. I actually played this in my last game, if you watched the one against the Sandman, and didn't realize that I paid for her with 3 mental resources, so I drew 3 cards. So this is extremely powerful without even me realizing this. I might be sneaking this into all of my champion or genius decks. Spider-Man, I'm looking at you. Okay? We have 3 copies of Everyday Hero, which is another wild resource. This is okay. So when your identity has the civilian trait, you can use this card, and basically when you spend it, you heal 1 damage from the identity. Not bad. Not bad. A little bit situational, but not bad. And our last card in the pre-built deck is this Champion's Mobile Bunker, which I'm liking more the more I use it. So it's a 2-cost support, and you exhaust the Mobile Bunker and choose an identity with the champion trait. Then that player draws 2 cards and discards 2 cards from their hand. I like this. You can tutor cards if you're looking for something specific, or if you don't love your hand, you might be able to buff it a little bit. So I do like this card. And that is the pre-built deck, but let's see what else. We have a couple more things here. So Nova obviously is going to come with some Nemesis stuff, which we have right here. So we have our Nova Nemesis side scheme. I actually haven't looked at these yet because I haven't pulled any of them yet. So this is the first time I'm looking at these. So our side scheme for our Nemesis is, when revealed, each player discards one card they control with a printed wild resource. For each card discarded this way, place one threat here. That sucks. That sucks. And also you have to draw an extra encounter card. Well, this is already out. So for each card they control with a printed wild resource, that's rough. Especially with Nova and me already saying that he has a lot of wild resources. That would hurt if it comes out. So here's his Nemesis. Who is this? Warbringer. Warbringer, you have 1 scheme, 3 attack. You are strong with 5 health. Shut up. Let's see. What do? Forced Interrupt. When Warbringer attacks you, he gets +1 attack for that attack for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. And that attack gains overkill. Holy crap. That hurts. Plus he has the 3 extra here. So this is a dangerous card. Dangerous card. I would hate to draw that. So I think we got a couple treacheries now. What do we got? War Delivery. When revealed, you may spend a wild resource. If you do not, the villain and Warbringer each attack you, even if you're in alter ego form. Yikes. And his boost, right? So if you draw him with the boost, you're going to get the +1 and something else on that. Is place 1 threat in the main scheme for each card with a wild resource. So they are, while the wild resource for Nova is a lot and you can benefit from it, if you pull that Shadow of the Past, you are in rough shape. So here's another one of the War Deliveries. That's 2 of them. The last treachery is, the war's been brought. It gains surge. Of course it does. When revealed, discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck where X is, yep, I knew that was coming, where X is equal to the total number of printed wild resource cards in your hand and under your control. And in your discard pile? Hold up. Discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is equal to the total number of printed wild resource cards in your hand, under your control, and in your discard pile. So this, if you're like late in the game and draw this, this is going to really whittle down that encounter deck, possibly bring on a acceleration token, which you don't want late in the game. Man, Shadow of the Past is rough for Nova. Really rough. So we get some other cards that we can use in our decks. It's only 2 this time, though. I think up there. So you get 3 copies of a protection card, which is a 1 upgrade. And you can only use this if you have the aerial trait, and reduce the amount of damage you take from each enemy attack by 1 when your turn begins. You discard this card. All right, not bad. Nova's, if you're playing Nova Defense, Nova Protection, which I haven't done yet, this could be useful because you're going to start with that helmet and you can always have the aerial trait. Then we have 3 copies of Yaw and Roll, which is a Justice card. Another only if you have aerial, which Nova will always have essentially for the most part. After your hero thwarts, remove 3 threat from a scheme. So once you thwart, you can use this, remove another 3 threat. So those are the cards that come in the Nova deck. But for the first time, I mean also technically with Ironheart, we're getting some modular cards, which I've only looked at some of these. This is a nasty set to add. If you want to make the game a little harder, oh man, you're gonna want to add these Armadillo encounter modular cards to the encounter deck. Some of these are rough. So first we have the side scheme, which is Armored Assault. Each enemy with a tough status gains 3 attack. You might be saying, like, okay, enemies don't often have a tough status card. However, let's take a look at Armadillo. 1 scheme, 1 attack. 8 freaking health. 8 health. That's half the health of most freaking villains in their first form. So he's an elite, he's a brute, and he has toughness. So this guy is starting with a tough card. And then if you draw this side scheme, each enemy with a tough gets 3 attack. Oh, we're not done with Armadillo yet. So which would bring him to a 5 attack, right? And he can have, I've never seen this before. This is the first time they're ever doing this. And I actually had to read one of the rules again to make sure I understood this right. He can have any number of tough status cards on him. Look at his force response. Anytime that he schemes or attacks, or basically anytime he activates against you, you give him a tough status card. So if you don't take him out, and if you don't focus on him, he could have as many tough status cards as possible. And then for each of them, each enemy, so no matter, it doesn't matter if he has 100, he's still getting +3. So he's going to be super strong if you don't take him out right away. Then we have an attachment. I haven't seen this yet. +2 attack is exactly what Armadillo needs. Attached to Armadillo, if Armadillo is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for him, put him into play, engage with you, and attach this card to him. So if you draw this, you're getting Armadillo with the 2 attack, making him a base of 4 attack. And then it says, while he has a tough status cards, characters cannot defend against his attacks. So remember, he's going to start with a tough, which means, and then this is going to put in play into engaged against you. If you don't get that tough off, you're looking at some heavy damage. We have a treachery card, Tough and Tumble. If you're on your alter ego form when this is revealed, each enemy with a tough status card schemes. If no enemy is activated this way, this gains surge. So if Armadillo's out, he's going to scheme automatically, which gives him a tough. If he's in your hero form, each enemy with a tough status card attacks you. If that doesn't happen, this card gains surge. Dangerous card. All of these are really bad. Really bad. Then we have 2 copies of Tough It Out. So let's see what this does. I'm betting something with a tough status card. When revealed, give Armadillo and the villain a tough status card. If 1 or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains surge. So if Armadillo is not out, right, then you're going to give the villain a tough status card, and this gains surge. So this is a really rough modular encounter set. So if you want to make your game a little bit harder, you're going to want to add this Armadillo set to modular set to the encounter deck, whatever you're playing. So that was the Nova card set, and I played a couple hands with Nova, and I really like Nova. Nova is really fun. A lot of the cards synergize. I've only used the out-of-the-box aggression cards with him, and I've lost 1 game, but won, I think, 3 to test him out. One of the ones that I did win was against Sandman. That is in another video if you want to take a look at it. And that will really show you how he plays, how a lot of the cards synergize with each other, and making Nova extremely fun to play. I'm not a big fan of aggression's true solos, because I only play true solo, but I'm looking forward to getting my hands on him with Justice, because Justice is one of my favorite true solos, or Protection, which is my other favorite true solo, to take a look and see what Nova can do. But overall, Nova's solid. If I have to give him a grade, I'm giving him an 8. Really fun. One of my more favorite and fun heroes to play. But I totally recommend picking him up, even if you aren't a fan of Nova. I don't know who Nova is for the most part. I mean, I know who Nova is, but I've never been a big fan. Haven't followed Nova a lot. And I was not excited for this at all. When I heard that Nova and Iron Harbor coming out, I was like, meh. But Nova made me change my mind. I'm going to be playing with Nova a bit more, and I recommend picking him up. Thanks all for listening.